today to honor Staff Sergeant W. Richard Wynn, who served his country in the United States Army as a member of the 26th Infantry Division. And I'd like to begin. They can't hear you.
Mike.
I thought I had a big enough mouth, I didn't need it. Okay, so we are here today to honor Staff Sergeant W. Richard Wynn, who served his country as a member of the United States Army in the 26th Infantry Division. I'd like to begin by introducing the Big Bend Hospice Valor team.
Dr. Lou Bender, U.S. Army, World War II.
I'm Dick Barnum. I spent 24 years in the United States Navy.
I'm John Kohler, and my father was in the Navy World War II.
Jim Pratt, United States Army, 2 tours Vietnam.
Fred Ingley, United States Marine Corps, 3 years active, 3 years reserve, 20 years United States Naval Reserve.
Jackie Pittman, Army wife, 22 years.
Henry Lowry, I spent 33 years in the United States Marine Corps, 2 tours in Vietnam, Grenada, Beirut, Desert Storm.
Sandy Lane, 3 years active duty Air Force as a nurse and 17 in the Naval Reserve.
Lou Langus, Chief Petty Officer, retired U.S. Navy, 26 years active duty, Vietnam, Grenada, and Lebanon.
Dr. Mike Horan, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam.
Doug Sir, U.S. Army, Vietnam, and son of World War II Navy veteran.
We're going to begin our ceremony with an opening prayer.
Let's pray. Father, we just thank you so much for this day. Father, just thank you for all the folks that have gathered here today, Father, to bring honor to Richard, and Father, to bring honor also to all the men and women that have served this country throughout the life of this country, Father, to preserve our freedom. And Father, help us to always remember the freedom doesn't come free. It doesn't come cheap. It comes at the sacrifice of men and women who are willing to put on the country's uniform and go and serve in whatever area that may be, Father. And Father, we just thank you for these men who have put together this ceremony today, Father. Just pray that you bless each one of them. Father, just ask your blessings upon the whole ceremony as we go through it. Just guide us and direct us in all we do. That's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Staff Sergeant, we brought you an American flag, which was donated by Woodman Life, formerly Woodman of the World. They're an organization that does a lot of things to honor and support our veterans. We're going to start with a pledge. We'll use the large flag. If I could ask the members of the audience, please stand and remove your covers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you all will please remain standing, we're going to have Fred is going to lead us with the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam? Through the stars and bright stars, through the peril of
The guests may be seated.
Now the presentation of Sergeant Wynn's legacy document, which is a summary of what he did, the actions he took from
Staff Sergeant Wynn, this is in honor of you and the U.S. Army 26th Infantry Division, World War II. In 1944, at age 19, Staff Sergeant Wynn was living with his family on a farm in Madison County, Florida. Every evening, they heard on the news on the radio about the country fighting in the Pacific and in Europe. Even though he had had a permanent deferment as a farmer, he felt he needed to enlist in the Army and fight for his country. He was inducted into the Army at Camp Blanding, Florida, and initially assigned to Camp Meade, Maryland, for in processing, and then ordered to Camp Fanning in Tyler, Texas, for combat infantry basic training. After basic training, Staff Sergeant Wynn was assigned to the 26th Infantry Division in Massachusetts Army National Guard unit that had already deployed to France. The 26th adopted the nickname Yankee Division with letters YD embroidered on their division patch. The division based around 3 infantry regiments, the 101st, 104th, and 328th. Staff Sergeant Wynn served in the 328th Infantry Regiment. Staff Sergeant Wynn departed for Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, boarded the Queen Mary for a 4-day trip across the Atlantic. It was his first experience with seasickness. After docking in Glasgow, Scotland, he trained in Southampton, England. His next destination was in Le Havre, France, aboard an LST, and is a flat-bottomed Navy boat. Midway across the channel, the captain of the ship told all passengers that he had notified the ship was in possible peril pursued by a German submarine. The captain cut off the ship's engines and directed everyone on board to remove their boots and sit motionless until the danger passed. It took about 3 hours before they gave the all clear. It's the quietest you'll ever hear any infantry group. 26th Infantry Division had landed in France at Cherbourg at Utah Beach, 7 September 1944. In October 1944, the division, then assigned to 12th Corps of General Patton's 3rd Army, the division launched a limited attack on 22 October in the Montcourt Woods, and on 8 November 26 went offensive again and took the town of Diouz after fierce house-to-house fighting. On 20 November, advanced across the Saar River, reaching the Magnan Line fortifications on 5 December. The division then regrouped at Metz and was reassigned to 3 Corps. Staff Sergeant Wynn joined the division at Metz. He had expected to get additional training with the division there, but was interrupted by the German offensive in Ardennes and beginning of the Battle of Bulge. The division moved north to Luxembourg from 19 to 21 December and to defend the Ardennes breakthrough. It attacked 22 December, beat back the strong German counterattacks, and captured the town of Arsdorf, Luxembourg on Christmas Day after heavy fighting. The division then attacked toward the Wiltz River, but was forced to withdraw in the face of determined German resistance. After regrouping in 5-day January 1945, it attacked across the Wiltz River on 20 January. The division continued its advance and crossed the river on 24 January. Division reassigned to 20 Corps. The division immediately shifted to the east bank of the Saar and maintained defensive positions there until March 1945. Division soldiers had not been issued winter gear except for British long johns to supplement their fatigues, gloves, and a field jacket. The winter was bitterly cold and snow in places was waist deep. The German infantry wore winter white camouflage coverings that were difficult to detect against the snowy background. The most feared weapons in the German army were the 88mm artillery Tiger tanks. U.S. Sherman tanks were no match for the Tigers. The divisions drove to the Rhine River, jumped off on 13 March 1945, and carried the division through Metzger from 17 March into the Rhine on 21 March, and across the Rhine at Oppenheim on 25 and 26 March. Staff Sergeant Wynn was badly wounded by an incoming artillery in the vicinity of Neustadt on the Rhine, north of Oppenheim. The division was then assigned to 12th Corps and took part in the house-to-house reduction of Hanau, Germany. House-to-house fighting was extremely dangerous. On the nights with bone-chilling cold, sometimes both American and German soldiers would occupy and seek to shelter the same bombed-out ruins. On 28 March, the division broke out of the Main River at Bridgehead and drove through Fulda Gap on 1 April, and on 5 April helped reduce the Meiningen Pocket, Germany's last-ditch defense effort. Moving southeast to Austria, the division assisted the capture of Linz on 5 May. It had changed the direction of its advance and was moving northeast to Czechoslovakia when the ceasefire was received. 1 day later, the division overran the Guzan concentration camp in conjunction with the 11th Armored Division, liberating it from the German forces. Guzan was the hub of several slave labor camps throughout the region. There it discovered that the Germans had used forced labor to carve out an elaborate tunnel system and an underground aircraft production facility. SS officers of the camp allegedly planned to demolish the tunnels with the prisoners inside, but the movement of the 26th Infantry and 11 Armored Divisions prevented this. Many of the inmates were deliberately starved to death. Toward the end of the war, with fuel services critical, the Germans kept horses to pull wagons and artillery. Some of these horses were killed during the fighting to liberate the camps. Some of the prisoners found knives and butchered the dead animals for raw food. At the end of the war, the 26th Infantry Division was returned stateside, but Staff Sergeant Wynn remained with the occupational forces in Vienna until the war ended in the Pacific. For his service during World War II, Staff Sergeant Wynn was awarded the Bronze Star Medal, the Purple Heart, the Good Conduct Medal, World War II Victory Medal, the Europe, African, Middle East Campaign Medal with 3 stars. Proud service.
I have a letter I'd like to read from Big Bend Hospice. Dear Staff Sergeant W. Richard Wynn, the staff and volunteers of Big Bend Hospice want to thank you for your service to our country. Your sacrifices have allowed all of us to enjoy the freedoms, quality of life, and values we so dearly cherish. Words alone cannot adequately express our deep appreciation for your service in the armed forces. Your commitment to our country is remembered and appreciated by this nation and all of us on the Big Hospice team, Big Bend Hospice team, I should say. We are honored that you are allowing us to demonstrate in some small way our respect for the job that you have done. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here today to personally thank you for defending our freedoms and those of others. We truly recognize you as being a member of America's greatest generation. Our Big Bend Hospice Valor volunteers are fellow veterans who are privileged to be honoring you and your service. We thank you for putting your life on hold as you defended our country and helped make the world a safer place. Please know that what you did for all of us will never be forgotten. We salute the sacrifices that you made for all of us. This is with deep appreciation from Kathy M. Atkinson, RN, BSN, CHPN, President and Chief Executive Officer of Big Bend Hospice.
I have a plaque here from Big Bend Hospice to W. Richard Wynn, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army, World War II. We pay special tribute to you for your military service, to America, and for advancing the universal hope of freedom and liberty for all.
Today, we will be presenting the Quilt of Valor to Staff Sergeant W. Richard Wynn. The Quilts of Valor Foundation began in 2003 with a dream by Catherine Roberts, whose son Nat was deployed in Iraq. According to Catherine, the quilt represents healing, hope, and well-being. The first Quilt of Valor was awarded in November 2003 at Walter Reed Army Medical Center to a young soldier from Minnesota who had lost his leg in Iraq. Since then, the Quilts of Valor movement has spread across the nation and beyond through the power of word of mouth and the internet. The mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover all combat service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing Quilts of Valor. It is important to emphasize that Quilts of Valor are quality-made quilts, not charity quilts. A Quilt of Valor is quilted, not tied, which means hand or machine quilting. Volunteers from around the country donate their time and materials to make the quilt. A quilt team consists of a quilt topper, a person who pieces the top of various fabrics, and a quilter who uses a long arm quilting machine. Long armers immediately play a crucial role in making the quilt tops go from ho-hum to wow. Big Bend Hospice is blessed to have a partnership with a local Quilt of Valor team member. Although she asks to remain anonymous, she definitely deserves gratitude for giving these quilts a wow factor. Through this partnership, Big Bend Hospice has awarded 12 Valor quilts in the past few years to veterans who are our patients or members of our volunteer team. Quilts of Valor have become the civilian equivalent of the Purple Heart Award. So today we present this Quilt of Valor to Staff Sergeant W. Richard Wynn to say, thank you for your service, sacrifice, and valor in serving our nation in combat.
And now our musician Fred Burns will play and sing America the Beautiful. We invite everyone to sing it. Okay, we have asked a family member to assist us in pinning a lapel pin on Sergeant Wynn to show that they are part of this ceremony. So, huh? Stephanie, is the pin still in the bag? All right. I got it.
You know how comes a Marine Corps. Don't stab it.
Don't suggest it. And now Clarence Peterson, who is a member of the American Legion, will present a special American Legion plaque honoring Sergeant Wynn.
Staff Sergeant Wynn, you fought during World War II. So today we pay you special recognition for your outstanding military service by honoring you with the plaque. And the plaque reads as follows. Department of the Army, United States of America, presented to Staff Sergeant Walter Richard Wynn, Patton's 3rd Army, 26th Infantry Division, Combat Wounded Purple Heart, in appreciation of your World War II service. Beautiful plaque.
And we have a World War II medallion for you. We have been honoring our veterans with degrees. World War II, victory, and on the other side, World War II, honorable service. And I'm delighted to hand that to you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
These medallions were presented and commissioned by the Leon County Commission. So it's the county's part in the ceremony to honor our veterans with these special medallions. Okay, the next part of the ceremony, no greater honor can one veteran give to another veteran than a salute. And I would like to invite all veterans who are in the audience to join us as we salute Sergeant Wynn. Scene, active, up, and salute. 32. Okay, we have no music for this, and sometimes it's good and sometimes not. But in one of our last tributes, we're going to sing the Army song. The whole version of the Army song was based on the World War.
All right, Army guys, step aside here
One and two.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail as the caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, count their march right about, and the caissons go rolling along. And it's high, high, in the field artillery. Shout out your gunners loud and strong, 2, 3, 4, wherever we go. You will always know that the caissons go rolling along.
I served 22 years in the Army, and at the end of that 22 years, the new soldiers that were coming in had a special salute that they would give, and it went like this. We'd like to close our ceremony with a prayer and supporting words from the veteran.
You have a better looking uniform than we did, but
we did the best job.
No doubt about it. We appreciate that.
I ask for the privilege. First of all, I want to thank the Big Bend Hospice Group. As a pastor for 60 years, people used to die in a hospital room with 1 or 2 people. And then hospice came along, and I was so glad that it did, because the family can be there when their loved one takes a journey. And I was holding my wife after 71 years of marriage. I was holding her when she died in room 4 at hospice. Thank you, hospice, for what you've already done and what you're doing. And they're doing that to me now. They're visiting me there. I want to just close by this. The American soldier has always been a liberator. We don't take countries. Hitler was taking all the countries, Poland and all the rest. And then we GIs went over and liberated those countries. And all the boys that are still in uniform right now are liberators. We want people to be free wherever they are. And so the American soldier is known for fighting for liberty, freedom. Isn't it wonderful to be a member of this country? Yes. When I went with the first group to Washington for the honor flight, and they were talking about us being heroes. I'm not a hero. The heroes are buried over yonder in various graves in different places. But this is my country. I love my country. I love God first. I love my country. And this serving in the service is my responsibility. With every freedom I have accountability. We're misusing our freedom in many ways in our country. We need to remember how precious freedom is. Thank all of you. You know, when there's not one of these veterans that considers himself to be a hero, he did what he needed to be done for the country. He served not to receive honor, but to defend the country. I want to close by this. I took my wife. We were not married too long. We were just married 71 years. But I took her back over there, and it's marked. If some of you have been over there in Europe, and it's marked, it's marked, they're all the way back over. And I took her over there with me. And went back up in the Battle of the Bulge. I'll never forget the cold. And then on the coast in the big cemetery, there's a sign that says "Property of the United States of America." There's some over 2,000 white crosses there. I knew a couple of the guys. I was not in the invasion. But we went up to Luxembourg, and that's where the 26th Infantry Division fellows were buried. General George Edgerton was killed in an automobile accident. Before he died, he requested to be buried with the men down in the cemetery. And so many people went down to his grave until they moved him from down where the men were buried up to the first end the gate. As you go into the cemetery, Ham Cemetery, General Patton is there. We laid a wreath on his grave, and I led a memorial service for him and all the other fellows. And then I walked down among those white crosses, and then all of a sudden, here was a name that was my buddy. Same age,
And I broke down, and I still do. They had as much right to live as I did. And I wept and still do at the cost that they paid. Freedom is precious. And I thank God for my country. I'm a Christian first, and I don't apologize to anybody for it. But I'm a citizen of one of the greatest countries there's ever been. And I thank God for my land. And I thank God for all the boys who worn the uniform. And I pray for them as I pray for ourselves. Will you join me to pray? Before I do that, let me tell you something else. That's a preacher now. Well, Paul said, you know, in conclusion, and then he wrote 2 more chapters. But I went across on the Queen Mary. They converted the Queen Mary into a troop ship. And I went across on the Queen Mary, some 2,000 or more of us on it. I came back on the Victory ship, 600 of us. I was in charge of quarters. And we, on the map on the wall, we traced how close we were to the States. And it got up there and said, we're getting close to the New York harbor. All of us went to the front of the boat. What you sailors, what is it, the bow of the boat? The bow of the boat. It's a wonder the thing didn't go down, you know. We went to the front of that thing, and we got to looking, and then all of a sudden, there was a torch. We could see the lady in the harbor, and we GIs wept with joy. We were home. We were home. You guys in the Pacific, when you saw the Golden Gate, you were home. Thank God for home. America is my home. Our Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for your grace. You blessed us because we were on the right course. We were defending freedom of people. And we thank you for your blessings to our land. We pray for our comrades who are in uniform now, scattered around the world, defending freedom. We pray for the leaders of our land, that they will be people of integrity, and that they will make wise decisions and trust in you. We pray for our nation. We pray for those who are in authority over us. We ask your blessing upon the Congress and the President and all the others. We thank you for letting us be a part of your kingdom. We pray for each other. Help us, Lord, to live our lives pleasing to you, to bring glory to your name. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen.
Oh, Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony.